Well, howdy guys. The bin crew worked all weekend and we have a grain bin up. This thing is even bigger than I expected it to be. They left this panel out right here so that they could get the floor in. The crew that built the bin actually just left to move to another job. They are basically the crew that gets the bin up, and then they have another crew that will actually install the floor. You can see that they sort of started the floor, and I figured this would be a good time to show you kind of how the floor is in a grain bin. Hopefully the audio is not too terrible. It's obviously very echoey inside here. You can tell the difference between what's the floor and what's not. The floor actually sits on these stands, and there is a bunch of them. And then it just sits on top like this, and then the air will blow through, and this is all perforated underneath, so it'll blow air up through the grain. The fans, this is one fan, and there's another fan right over there, and those mount to this, and then they blow air through there and then up through that floor. These fans are way bigger than what we're used to on our other bins. I think our largest motor on our biggest fan is a 10 horse, and this is a 30 horse motor for this fan, and there's two of them. Then back here on the inside, you can see where the fan will blow in and blow the air through all the perforations in the floor. And then if we walk over here, you can see where that red box is, and we'll walk over there and take a look at that. This is the sump, so the floor will surround this, and then this is actually a door, and that's where the grain will go into this auger, which doesn't have a fighting in it, and then it will go, there will be a hole cut right by that door, and that's where the grain will go out. And then this gearbox and that gearbox will drive the power sweep. And I'll explain that when I get out of the bin. And then really the last thing are these cones that come down the wall here. That is for the side draw, which you will see on the outside of the bin as well. It's hard to even hear yourself think when you talk in there. So if we look from the outside in, the power sweep will actually start in the center, way over there, and then it's an actual like auger flighting that sits on top of the floor. When the grain gets down and you have an inverted cone, that will actually go around the outside of the bin on top of the floor and take all the grain from the outside and take it to the center, so that your floor is completely cleaned off when you want to clean the bin out. And then you can see on the other bins that and that, those were side draws as well, which those pipes will go back up, and then this side draw is right there, and that's how we'll get corn out without having to use an auger. This bin will hold around 220,000 bushels of corn, and we'll be able to get about 80 loads or 80,000 bushels out of the side draw without ever having to start an auger. So just gravity feed right out of there into a truck. It's a 12-inch unload, so we'll be able to load a semi in about 6 minutes. We'll take a walk out here to the parking lot. That's where the power sweep is. It's still in pieces. They have to install that yet, but I have to walk out here and get the boom lift for the electricians anyways. This is the auger flighting, these two pieces here that will actually go underneath the floor, and then these are what they would call your intermediate doors, and they will sit staggered from the center point out to the man door on the bin, so that it kind of makes a void in the bin. And then this is part of the power sweep here, so this is what I was talking about, that will sit on top of the floor and actually clean off the top when you want to empty the bin. And this little rubber wheel here is what will kind of push it along on top of the bin floor. I'm gonna grab the boom lift here and take it out by the electricians and see how far up the leg tower we can get, and see how much crane work there's going to be to get electric to the top of the leg. This is actually our lift. We bought it last winter, mostly for doing maintenance work on grain bins, and it's supposed to go about 80 feet, and the tower is about 115, so we're going to get up there and just see how tall it can get for them, and then work from a crane from the top down to wherever this thing can't reach. We got about 20 foot from the top with the lift, so I guess we should have bought a 100-footer. Good old government juice. Build the tote here, and that'll get us through all the harvest season. The electricians are gone for the day, so I'll show you what they got done. Didn't want to bother them too much while they were working here. Starting at the leg tower, these are all conduits that will run motors, all the motors in here, and then I believe there will be some that continue on around the corner and go over by the man door on the bin to run a few motors over there. And then this one conduit that's basically going to run this grain cleaner motor, and then that goes back there. There's some more conduit that'll come in here and run the motors up there, so be the dryer unload motor, and then the motor that's coming out of the wet bin, and then a whole bunch of conduit that'll come around the wet bin, and that comes down here to the main dryer panel. The dryer actually will get powered out of the main electrical building back there, and then we'll get fed up into that big panel there. And there was a small conduit here that they already covered up, and that's going to run over here, out of the ground right there to that disconnect switch, and that will power that fan. And then there's a fan on the other side of the wet bin that will be powered by there's a disconnect switch over there. And then all these conduits ultimately come back to the electrical building here. There will be a big cabinet that sits in here with all of the variable frequency drives for all the different motors. And then this over here will be, I think, where the power service from the power company comes in. Nope, that's wrong. That is the big conduit that's going to power the dryer. So that's obviously not going to be in the cabinet with the rest of the conduit. The power service from the power company is going to come in somewhere on this wall, and then this conduit here is going to be a transformer, because all of this power coming in here and going out of these conduits is going to be three-phase, 480 volts. So obviously we have to have lights and stuff around here, and 110 outlets and that stuff, so we have to have a transformer that actually steps it down to 110 power, or whatever power that you would use in your house for your normal lights and outlets. So in the last week there's been quite a bit of stuff that has changed. The electricians are making really good progress, and like I said, the bin is pretty much up. Got to put the rest of the floor in, and then the pipes go into it and that kind of stuff, but we're moving along. I would say there's probably about 2 to 3 weeks left on this project. So that's going to do it for this one. Just wanted to do a quick update. I am going to Farm Progress on Wednesday, so I am going to do a video on what we see there. So that'll be coming out later in the week, and then in the meantime we're going to prep some combines. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.